much further ado, I see people enjoying the coffee and the tea. Shouldn't have mentioned that. And the stickers.
And the stickers.
But we should really get started. Should say 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Mute yourselves. Okay, we're ready. On stage, Andrea, welcome. Please give Andrea a big hand.
Thank you. Do you hear me? Okay. So we will be talking about maps again, but just in a different kind of way. Because we've seen that Rosamund worked with React, and I will work with Hypermedia. And I'm Andrea Guerra. Here you have some links of my projects, of my blog, and so on. And I have to tell you that I'm not a developer, I'm an architect. So I normally design buildings, I design renovations and things like that. But I've been into programming since I was a teenager. From a time in which you didn't have floppy disk and you had to load things with cassette recorders. And then I started a blog 25 years ago. It was pure HTML. And then it evolved in time, becoming WordPress. So I started learning PHP. And then I noticed that Python was better. And so I shifted everything to Django. And now I'm very proud because in the last weeks I released a Python project in the PyPI repository, Django GeoCAD, which takes drawings from AutoCAD and brings it into web maps. And so I give my contribution to this. Okay, hypermedia-driven maps. What is hypermedia? Here I have some quotes from the author of HTMX, Carson Gross. And hypermedia was the old way of making websites. You had multi-page, you had everything written in HTML tags, and every time you had a request-response cycle, you had to reload the page. So that was very annoying. And so then came the single-page applications, and the new hypermedia adds to normal hypermedia, adds the SPA flavor, because it doesn't reload the whole page. It loads just small chunks of HTML, replacing in targets, so to speak. So it looks like an SPA, but in fact it's the old way of making websites. Another concept that I borrow from Carson is that of the island of interaction. So inside our hypermedia application, we can have some isolated islands of interaction, which are normally in JavaScript. They live on the client, but they are in some way managed and controlled by the hypermedia. And of course, in our case, this island will be a leaflet map, like the one that Rosamund showed us before. And I use for the swapping trick, I use HTMX, but there are also other libraries like Alpine or Ampoli and so on. I won't dig too much into HTMX because there will be a following talk about this. So I will just scratch a little bit the surface. The important thing is that we swap chunks, but we don't reload the page. This is the goal of everything now is to not reload the page. So this is how our hypermedia-driven app will look like. We have in the orange frame, we have the hypermedia part, the part that will be swapped. And it has the content, it has the user interface, it has the data for the map, and it also brings state for the island of interaction. On the right, you have the island. And of course, I show you an island, it's Capri, if you haven't recognized it. And of course, this part is fully interactive. You can pan, you can zoom, like you usually do with a map when you have it on a website. And here I show you the interactions that happen between all the moving parts, let's say. You see I have those black arrows. The big one goes from the hypermedia to the island. But sometimes the island will give back something. And then you will have the response, the request response cycle from our chunk to the Django application. And also the island will communicate with an external server that will download all the tiles that are that you need to make up the map, all the small tiles that make up the map. And you will see that you see I have a yellow arrow. Sometimes the island of interaction will send directly to the Django app, will send some requests. So we are talking about Django. Of course, there is a Django project at the base of everything. And here are the requirements. I use the latest Django. And apart from other not relevant libraries, I use Django HTMX by Adam Johnson, which is very clever because it tells you when a request comes from HTMX. So you can recognize when HTMX is involved. And so when you are expecting to swap a part of the page. And then I use Django GeoJSON, which is kind of a serializer. And it writes all the geographic data into a format which is called GeoJSON, which is a JSON in fact. And it's very interesting because it does not rely on PostGIS or not even Postgres, not even GDAL, which is the basic library which is written in C++. Without that library, nothing works. But it's a little bit tricky to have it on your system. So in this way, I can have the lightest application possible. And I have an app, of course, which has just one model, which is called location. And it holds the title, the description of the location, and then the point field, which is taken from the GeoJSON package. It's a point field. It writes in GeoJSON format where is located geographically the location. Apart from this, there is another method, pretty important, which is called pop-up content, and it returns an HTML string with the absolute URL of the location and the title of the location. And this will be useful because it will show up when we click on a marker and have the pop-up coming out. And okay, we run the server. Of course, this is the first time that we enter the website. And a location list view is called. It's a generic list view with some little tweaks. Like example, I override the get template names, and here is where Django HTMX comes handy, because if it's not an HTMX request, we just get the whole page, the full page. But if it's not, you render only the partial, only the part that will be swapped. So this is very important. And of course, we are downloading the whole page. So let's see how the base template is structured. In the head, we will download all the leaflet stuff. Basically, we will download all the package that lets us work with a map. And in the body, we will include the hypermedia partial, the single part that will be swept effectively. Then we have another division with which I call the island, and this is where the map will be placed. And we have to call a script, a custom script that manages the functionality of the map. And at the end, we have to download HTMX, because unless nothing works. So let's see the hypermedia partial. Obviously, it differs if it's a list view, if it's a detail view, update view, and so on. But the structure is this. You load some template tags from Django GeoJSON. You will have some content. You will have the user interface. And there is very important at the end, there is this script which has an ID, map data. And it uses a GeoJSON template tag, the GeoJSON feature. And it gets the object list. This means that it gets all the locations, and it transforms it into a GeoJSON structure. And it holds not only the geographic information, but also you see the pop-up content. This means that it holds also all the links that we wrote before with the method, with the previous method, into the model, into the location model. We have to see a little bit of JavaScript because it's important. This is the map script. This is the file that manages the leaflet map. And you see at the beginning there is the map is initiated, but this is the only time that we will do it, just the first time. And then we call a base map with all the tiles that form the map. And it's important to have a layer group where we will place all the markers, because we want to be able to erase them in other moments, because we don't want to touch the map, the whole map, but just erase some information and add some information. In fact, you see that there is this get collections function that removes the objects from the marker layer. Then it goes and reads from the hypermedia part, reads all the GeoJSON information, and then it transforms it into the markers that we have on the map. And at the end, it fits the bounds of all these markers, and it zooms in. And so you will see this. You will see all the markers, and of course the markers were generated automatically, so they cover up all the surface of the globe. But we can zoom a little bit in, and for example, we can click on one of these markers, and the pop-up will come forward. and clicking on Capri, we should go to the detail view of our application. But of course, if I have to be careful, because if I leave the link like I've shown you before in the pop-up content method, it would happen that the whole page would be reloaded. And of course, we don't want this. So I told you a lie before. It's not written with the hypertext reference with your URL inside. The hypertext reference is null, and there will be an attribute with an on-click that calls a function, open location, which has an argument with the URL. And if we get back to the map script, we will see that this function has inside an HTMX AJAX call. So in this moment, we are seeing HTMX from the inside, under the hood, because normally we don't use it this way. HTMX makes an AJAX call, an asynchronous call, with a get method to an URL, and at the end you see the target of this request. So he's saying you get this response, and you place it into a piece of the DOM. Okay. So we go to the location detail view. It's a generic detail view, and it has the get template names as the list view that we have seen before. But it tweaks also the dispatch method. This is very important. And this method says if the request is made from HTMX, you have to add this header to the response. And the response adds this header, which comes which is a custom HTMX header, which triggers an event after the swap. You see HX trigger after the swap. That means that after the piece of HTML is swapped, you have to trigger that event. And what happens? Just there is in MapScript there is an event listener that refreshes all the data. So it erases back everything that is on the map and reads again into the new Hypermedia part of the DOM, reads the GeoJSON data, and puts the new markers on the map, fits the bounds, and zooms in. So what you will see is this. You will see the detail view. So we have zoomed into Capri, and now we are near the Funicolare station, which is, I don't know if you've been there. And you see we have some content, and we have some user interface, but we see that we would like the marker to be a little bit displaced over the south, because the relevant part here is the Piazzetta and not Funicolare station. So we want to update this. Normally, when we use maps and we want to create or update, normally we need a widget, and normally we will load another library like Django Leaflet, which has these built-in widgets, so that we can have map widgets on our front end. But we don't want that, because if we do that, we will have to reload everything back. We want to use the same map that we are using for seeing the list view, the detail view. Okay, so we click on update location. This is a real HTMX west. So we have attributes. We will see that later in another talk. What happens? Okay, we are reaching an update view. Of course, we have a form. In this form, we will have some new fields, latitude and longitude, because it's a little bit tricky to use a JSON inside a form. So I don't call the geom field. You see in the class meta, I don't call the geom field. I make these two fields. I can validate them if they are not correct, because latitude can't be more than 90 degrees or less than minus 90 and so on. Into the update view, we will have a get initial, which gets the latitude and longitude initials from the geographic field, which is in the database. And when all the process ends with forma valid, we will do exactly the opposite, and we will fill the geographic field with the lat and long clean data. So there is another thing that I add to the location update view into the context data. I put the map status, and we will see why. It's rendered in the location update. It's rendered HTML in the template. It's rendered as a GeoJSON. This JSON script template tag is built in Django. And so what happens here? We have the update view. So you see on the right we have the form, and we can change the title, we can change the description, and we could also manually change latitude and longitude, but of course that would be a little bit a mess. But if we click on the map, what happens? Let's say that we don't want the marker to be on the red cross, but we want it to be on the piazzetta. So we just click on the piazzetta, and the fields will be automatically updated, and the marker will be placed where we have clicked. And this without using special widgets, we are just using the previous map, which has never changed. It has never been reinitiated. Excuse me. And this, you see that on the bottom, you have a map on click function. This is built in Leaflet, and it fires an event. And what the update lat long event, what does it do? It reads the map status on the HTML, and it looks for the map on click key. And if it's true, it goes on, because we want this clicking on the map to work only if we want to update or create a new location, and not just make it fire when we are looking at detail view or list view. So if the map status map on click is true, we update the lat and long fields, and we delete the objects from the marker layer, and we put next the updated position with using the event geographic coordinates. So I finished my talk. I hope I've been you've appreciated it, and that's all.
Thank you so much. Um, can I ask you what the again? What was the project for? Um,
No, I've done the other project. No,
yeah.
or this one. No, this one is just to show how to use a map without fancy stuff, without having too much libraries. Just it's just a proof of concept
It's
that
for
you
us.
can. Yeah, that's all. It's just to show that you can do this without having too much stuff around. Okay, that's all. Because I've used PostGIS, I've used GeoDjango in other projects. When you have, you need more complexity. In example, if you don't have to just click on a map and put a marker on a map, but if you have to draw a polygon on a map,
Yes.
this couldn't be possible, or maybe it could be possible, but very complicated. So I would just download Django leaflet and take his widgets and use them here. But if you do so, you need some libraries, other libraries. So it gets, it swells in some way.
Yeah. Thank you so much. There is time for questions. It was really nice to see code.
Hmm?
I
A
felt
little
I
bit.
felt the itch. Yeah, yeah. I
No,
could
no,
hear
no,
the
but
keyboard starting to click out there too. You can't show developers too much code. They
but you can see the whole code on in that over there on GitHub over there. So okay, no questions. Maybe it's better. No, we can go we can go onward.
there is a pop quiz afterwards, and it's important with these details. By the way,
I'll just sneak in one again. I'm sort of lost in how do you go from being an architect and like actually architect and buildings? How do you end up doing this?
No, look, actually in architecture, they are trying to be a little bit more into programming because now there is all this hype of building information management. No, you want to, a building, you want to be it like a database. You know, there is a carpet. This carpet is here, and it's made from wool, and it's the dimensions are this because maybe you have 20 carpets in a whole building, and so you need to track them. No, where are the carpets? They've been rolled and things like that. So they're starting to make it a little bit more programmable. And of course, there is also 20 years ago, they started making all this flamboyant architecture with very complex curves and things like that. And that was made possible just because there were programs that enabled that. And so you have parametric design, stuff like that. But in the end, if you just see AutoCAD and how it is structured, it's heavily programmatic. And people don't use it like that. People just use it to draw lines, but that's not the real intention of AutoCAD. In AutoCAD, you need to have the information. That's important. So for me, it was natural. I was already inside a little bit of programming. I've done with BASIC. I've done structural analysis and things like that. It's very easy. You just have to, you have a matrix and you have to invert it. That's all. But you can do very complex things with just little knowledge in the end. And another thing that I like is when you connect different things, like from AutoCAD, take the informations and and pour it into another language, another system, and the way back, of course. That's I find that very interesting.
I have a question about this example project. It's very nice to use to understand how
Yes.
how the basics work. If you do more complex, can you avoid having a whole Node.js stack in place when you're working with maps, or
yes.
a lot of JavaScript?
No, this is not.
Can you keep
No,
keep it
it's
simple?
very. This is it's all very basic. You need SQLite. You don't need strange backends. You don't need strange things. But this is done on purpose, of course, to take it to have it as simple as possible.
Yeah, but even when you've built larger projects, you have achieved to keep it.
No, not always. Of course, not always. But it's the first thing you think. I want to keep it simple. Don't overload with things that maybe you aren't able to manage in the end. So I do all this for fun. So I don't want to be bothered with strange things that I can't grasp. No.
Yeah, keep it fun.
Okay.
Are there more questions? Otherwise, we have the next talk coming up in 2 minutes.
Okay.
No, wait, no, break coming up in 2 minutes. Sorry.
Perfect.
Yeah, but let's give a big round of applause for Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you very much.